Ripples on Deep Water by Orphaned Account on EU3. Episode 22, Chapter 21. 3 hours before. Katsuki tapped his foot against the ground. The hag and the old man sat on either side of him, their expressions neutral. He really didn't know what this was about, but he was getting pretty annoyed with the rodent, who looked like he was fucking around with a bunch of different pencils on his notepad. It was taking forever, and the rodent occasionally even closed his eyes to think for a while before continuing. The hobo had entered the room a little bit ago, looking actually pissed at something. Maybe he got evicted or something. How long have you been keeping them waiting, Nezu? Only 2 hours. The rodent replied, cheerfully, as if he wasn't wasting 2 hours to just sit there. And he'd been making Katsuki miss all of his classes to sit here and wait for his parents to get off of work. How's this, Aizawa-kun? I'm thinking you might need a bit more time to be completely accurate. The hobo leaned over, and his face twisted into something even darker. It'll work for civilians. Maybe more detail for the police sketch, though? The rodent beams at the hobo. You can start us off, then, since you're Bakugou Shonen's homeroom teacher. The teacher glared at Katsuki before going to the wall opposite them and pulling his dark hair out of his face. As I'm certain you're aware, Katsuki-san, and Bakugo-san, Midoriya Izuku won the sports festival. Katsuki's hands curled as he fought to keep a sneer down. Did they seriously call him here to insult him more? Yes. The hag nodded with a wide smile, and Katsuki had to resist scoffing. Masaru and I are really proud of the brat. I've known him since the delivery room, and to see him getting out there and chasing his goals is wonderful. He's always been such a shy kid. The hobo nodded, stiffly, a bit of aggression leaving his expression. He and Shinsou Hitoshi, the general ed student that your son fought in the semifinals, were both offered transferships that they accepted. Both of them will be in 1A as of the second semester. Katsuki stiffened in his seat. That worthless, quirkless piece of shit? In his class? It was bad enough that Airhead was in UA. Really? Oh, my Kami, that's wonderful. The man was nodding enthusiastically along with the hag's statement as she continued. I can barely believe it. Inko didn't tell us shit. Didn't even tell us he was in UA either. Unfortunately, that brings us to the part of why you two are here. When was the last time you two saw Midoriya Izuku? They both froze, and so did Katsuki. No, he's not missing or dead. He's in the support classroom right now with 1F and Shinsou, probably setting something on fire and giving Power Loader a heart attack. Please just answer the question. The hag relaxed considerably, worrying at her lip. Kami, I'm not sure how long that was. It was before UA, definitely. 4 months ago, I think. He was headed to Dogaba. She huffed. Damn, it's been a while. Do you know about his home situation? Katsuki's eyes shut up. Were they asking about Auntie? Was Auntie abusive? Why was he here? The shit nerd deserved everything he got, but Auntie Inko was too soft-hearted to actually give it to him. He and Inko were fighting more often, I think. Recently, Inko's been talking about how rebellious he's being, and when we were watching the sports festival, she was constantly worrying about how dangerous it was, but that's just how single parents are, I guess. Where is his father? The hag snorted. That shitbag? When Izuku was 3, Inko found out he was having an affair, and they had a divorce. It was really nasty. And I could swear all my life that's why Izuku has so many problems with his mother. The poor brat's never really gotten over it. He and his father were close. He's off in America now, as far from them as Inko could drive them. Somewhere in New York City, last I heard. The rodent was taking notes as the hobo talked more. We have reason to believe Midoriya isn't staying with his mother right now. There was a pause as Katsuki tried to decipher what that meant. Deku was a piece of shit, but he'd never leave his mother alone in that house. At least, not the old Deku, his mind whispered. Well, I don't see him as often anymore, and really, don't tell Inko I said this, but I wouldn't be all that surprised. Elaborate? The old man spoke up now, his voice soft as he went on. Inko is a very protective mother, and for a good reason. The world isn't kind to quirkless kids, and Inko tries her best, being the only parent Izuku has. Sometimes she can be a bit suffocating, though. And even though we don't agree with that, it was her decision to parent Izuku like that. The hag nodded, picking up the train of thought. Last time I saw the two together was when I was swinging by for tea. I couldn't actually get in the door because they were in a screaming match, but something about how Inko was treating him like glass. I left right after, though. Not my business. Thank you, Bakugo-san. Now to get to the real reason you're here. The hobo cracked his neck, even hostile. Are you aware that if Midoriya Izuku was any less forgiving, he would be pressing charges against your son? Katsuki's blood turned to ice. Absolute silence. What? I'd appreciate if you all stayed silent as I explain. It would be significantly easier on all of us. Please hold your questions to the end. Rodent added cheerfully. His parents nodded, and Katsuki had to level out his breathing. They don't have any evidence. Everything the shit nerd could have said could be passed off as a lie because he was desperate for attention, as usual. From what we know, Bakugou and Midoriya have known each other since they were small. Going off that, they must have been close. The hobo paused. Until they were 4 and their quirks came in. Or didn't. From what we understand, Bakugou got a rather impressive quirk, and Midoriya was discovered to be quirkless. A close friend of Midoriya's. So one of those 1FF extras, or the freak from 1C, testified that this was around the time Midoriya told her he was given the cruel name Deku. Am I wrong? He was met with silent shakes of his parents' heads. Good. Now Deku can be read one of 2 ways. Blockhead, being more common, or useless as the other. You can understand why a couple of playground bullies would give that name to a quirkless kids. Bullies? Please hold all questions. Midoriya couldn't personally testify, but the close friend recounted what he was able to tell her in private. He was relentlessly bullied by his peers all throughout school into UA, and didn't have any friends. The hag made a strangled sound as Katsuki clenched his hands. They can't prove anything. The friend also told us about the physical abuse he suffered from his classmates, namely Bakugou Katsuki. Silence regained again, and the tension in the room mounted. They can't prove anything. Sometime in early April last year, your son suicide-baited Midoriya, and on the evening of that same day, I met him on the subway, when he was in a state of mental breakdown. So no, I'm not pulling this out of my ass. He was suicide-baited several times after that incident by several other students, and the close friend could testify that they often saw him looking hurt after classes, or hiding a limp. Unfortunately, this came to a head sometime around early March, when Midoriya never showed up at the close friend's apartment on the day they received their UA letters. The next day, he showed up heavily bandaged around the neck and throat area, and told her that it had been an accident with one of his support items. That was not what happened. Nezu held up the drawing, and Katsuki's stomach lurched. This is a scarring on his throat. Look familiar? Oh, fuck. Oh, I can't wait for Katsuki to be expelled. Ha 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 ha. Okay, chapter 22. Young Volcanoes. Izuku panics. Mei thinks it's funny. How? Mei, what? Shouta gets an upgrade. What? The Bakugou parents are upset. I'm actually glad that they seem to be upset by this. I know sometimes in fics, they're like trying to hide it or they're evil as well. So I do like that they are inside, like on the side of Izuku. I love that for this. Love, 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 love it. Hold on a second. I got a message. Okay, I have to answer this. Sorry. Sorry, I don't know what that was. It is 9:15 p.m. I'm recording this. I had a long day today. I watched Obsession. Moving on. I had work this morning, Obsession, and then the rest of the day was spent just laying and like resting, and then I'm recording. And then arguing in a chat where it's a bunch of podfickers about how they want me to not overexert myself and post daily and not post 4 times a day. And I'm like, guys, I'm starting off small and then going up to 4 times a day. I sometimes record 6 videos a day. I am fine. I am living happily, okay? The reason why I took such a long break isn't because I was burnt out. It was because I got out of the habit, because somebody, like my fans, bullied me to get a break. I took the break, and then my habit got thrown out the window, and I needed to rebuild that habit, and that is so hard to do. But I'm finally rebuilding it. I am like staying steady instead of like, you know, like I'm not forcing myself per se, because it's not like I'm forcing myself. I love doing this. I had such a blast recording this, and it honestly only took me, or at least the podfic part, like the fic part, took me like about 11 minutes. It's 10 minutes long-ish. Obviously this is gonna take me a little longer because I'm doing the outro, right? Obviously, so I had 10 minutes plus the outro. That's how long it took me to record this video. But honestly, it's just, I love podficking. It is such a amazing thing that I love to do. It is my passion. It is something that I feel like I'm decent at. I'm decent, and you know, people like it, so I love that, you know, that people like something that I you know, I enjoy and have a somewhat of a passion for, you know. So it's fun. I enjoy it. That's what I'm saying. So I'm a little tired, so and I guess that's also why I'm also rambling and have a lot more stutters. But I don't have much to say other than as I said, I really like that Bakugou's parents, you know, Mitsuki and Masaru, are on Izuku's side, and I hope that stays true in chapter 22. If we see that in chapter 22, if not, whatever. But it seems like, you know. Mainly because it's also a big down for Bakugou, because at least Bakugou's not going to get enabled by his parents. He's actually going to get even more consequences thanks to that, you know? We're just a Bakugou hater right now in this fic. You know? Anyways, as always, my raindrops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Link to my Discord server and socials down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.